Good morning and welcome to this center. This morning we are a little bit late, not a little bit, almost more than 20 minutes late. Some technical problem and something else also. However, right now we are ready for the service. We are going to skip this morning meditation. Right now we're going to start the Dhamma talk. Today our speaker is Dhamma teacher, the Sai Maharjan. He's a Nepalese teacher and one of our good friend also. He's giving Dhamma talk around America, many places, and giving Dhamma talk in our temple almost 5-6 years. So, Mr. Sai, you can start your Dhamma talk. Sorry about the delay today. So you can start your Dhamma talk right now.
Thank you, Bante. Good morning, everyone. Since we have such a small group, and thank you, Bante, for your persistency. I really admire that you didn't cancel the session today and still decided to host this event for everyone. And things like this happen, right? Especially unexpected situations. I was thinking about what to talk. And these kind of situation can cause some people frustration, some people angry, some people disheartened. I think that's where this practice of Buddhism comes handy. And during the Buddha's time, he always tried to use life experience as a way to understand Dhamma. And today I want to, reflect that what do we do in those kind of situations, especially when things don't go as we plan. And Buddha has always mentioned about things that happen in many ways. And this is from Niyama Dhamma. There's I don't think you can call it law of nature, law of few things, and or principles of governing the thing around the world. The first one is Uttuniyama. Now, as humans, we have walked on this planet for, I don't know exactly, probably close to 50,000 or many years back. But recently, if you look at the history, now the Buddha was around 2,500 years ago and close to 2,600 years ago. If there was a Buddha 2,500 years back, that means human has evolved for a long time to come to that point. From Buddhist perspective, the evolution of human has taken a long process. So what I was about to share is that things that happen around us, one of the governing principle or the law is the seasons. Now, we cannot control seasons. I mean, some people might argue, like, how about global warming? Maybe we contribute to some extent, but winter being cold, summer being warm, and spring being more pleasant is not under humans' control. And what I want to highlight here is that as humans, we want to control everything around us, including climate and our environment. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Now, coming back to ourselves, we think that our life is under our control. And that has to do with the teaching in Buddhism called Sakkaya Ditthi. And that's the very fundamental problem for suffering, cause for suffering, because we start believing that, the identity or personality we call I, myself or I, idea. And from Buddhist perspective, well, there is no such thing as I, because what you experience as a human being is the process of cause and effect. For example, when you see something, there are a few factors that you want to keep in mind. Number one, the object that you are receiving through your eye sense. Now, the object itself is an external factor for the process of seeing, and the eye that is functioning, that is not or any that has no any other problem, is the second object, the receiver or receptor part. And the third one is the consciousness. You don't see everything that passes through your eyes. You will notice things that you have paid attention to. So the image, the eye sense, and eye consciousness combined together, we call I see something or I saw something. Now, the same principle can be used for any other senses as well, whether it is touching or feeling, smelling, hearing, or the taste. Whichever senses you take, those are three components, and that's what we call the experience. And because of this experience, when you don't have wisdom, we tend to think, I see flowers, I see a person. So we attribute this idea of I, and that is considered sakkaya ditthi. We believe there is a person called I in the past, in the present, and in the future. And that same principle, that same ignorance, we call avidya in Pali, is used to understand and interpret everything around us, including the weather. And sometimes people, complain about weather as if you can control. And what I want to share today is that, well, there are things that happens because of this. In Buddhist teaching, we call utuniyama, the law of season, and bija niyama is another principle called the law of seeds, the law of offsprings. The things that if there are conditions met, for example, if you take a seed, let's say a zucchini seed, you have water, you have sunlight, you have soil, and when those conditions are met, there will be a sprout, and that sprout turn into a plant, it will bear fruits. Now, you don't control. You may affect to some extent, but you don't control the process of its germination and growing, because that is controlled by another principle. And there's more in that category as well. I want to get to the last one, which makes more sense for us to explain, things around us is not always under our control. That's the bija niyama and the chitta niyama, the nature of mind. And some people, especially when we try to practice meditation, for example, you sit down and close your eyes. Mind is by nature, it should be pure. Pabassaramidam bhikkhave chittam. The mind is inherently clean and pure. Agantukehi bakletihi sankiliptam. Our mind get polluted because of external factors or this visiting thoughts. So what happened today, I want to use that as an example. We may have meetings, we may have gatherings, and those factors can start to tell us this should not happen to me. Delaying program or canceling in program and not showing up in program should not happen to me. Now, as soon as you think that, if you pause and look at that thought, this should not happen to me, it has to do with the idea of self. We have this concept of I should not experience this part, makes you have more sanya, or the perception of that experience. And that's where you have this, we call craving in two ways. Either you dislike it or you like it so much. Because of that ignorance about self, you attributed that experience as good or bad. Now, that is where we try to understand the nature of our mind should be pure, which should be clean. I think the better term is clean, but this external visiting thoughts and experience makes it polluted. and it's not always going to be polluted. And the remedy or the solution is, if you can be mindful what you're experiencing, whether it is pain, whether it is unpleasant thoughts, that has to do with your role. And if you're mindful that what you're experiencing is just the process of your your physical body and your mental activity, if you can be mindful, it's just a thought coming to my mind, it's just the physical sensation that I'm experiencing, you want to reach to the point where you start accumulating unwholesome thoughts. We call in Pali either dosa or moha, the lobha. So, you won't attach to it, you won't try to push it away. So it goes back to that sense of perception that you have developed, I concept. And when you have this I concept, some people go far, really far, not just for just to have conceit. I think that's the term. In Pali, we call mana. You think that I deserve better. This should not happen to me. These are not acceptable in my life. So that all those thoughts or statement are related to mana in Pali, and in English, the translation would be conceit. You think I deserve better. And some people go further beyond that point. And that's where they talk about soul. I have this permanent soul that should be well protected and that should not experience any bad. Unfortunately, again, if you know the mind is governed by its own principles, and the nature of mind is, it can be polluted, it can be purified, depending on what you take in. And that's something really important when you practice mindfulness or meditation in general. Because if you go to a restaurant or go to a dining place, I think I have seen enough in last 10 years that people are very mindful of what they put in their body. For example, before you order anything, typically in the fast food or anywhere, you see the amount of calories that you will be consuming. If you order a double cheeseburger, there will be over 1,000 calories, and people are very mindful. That's very nice. You are taking care of your health by choosing proper diet, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, vegan, you name all those categories. We are so mindful about what we put in our body, and being follower of the Buddha, whether you follow whichever tradition, if you listen to his teaching, as much as you pay attention to what you put in your body, imagine you can do the same thing that what you put in your mind, what you take in. For example, you have a situation like what happened today, before the session, waited, that was difficult, or you were late, you had an argument with your partner or coworker or your boss. Whenever you go through that experience, imagine that is the same situation like you were going to a restaurant. And before you react to those situations, if you can pause and look at your reaction, potential reaction, not there yet, and how many angry thoughts that you're going to have, how many jealous thoughts that you're going to have, how many annoying or anxiety, how much anxiety you will have, how much strong rage that you might have. If we can calculate that, if you can see all those amount of negative thoughts and pollution that we bring into our mind by reacting, I can see that people will avoid all those kind of confrontations, because we don't like to eat unhealthy food. Should we eat or let these unhealthy thoughts into our mind? So that's where understanding how mind works is important. And of course, we can talk more and how mind works, because the process of mind is really fast. However, we have some level of control. That's why when you listen to Buddha's teaching, read the Buddha's discourses, you will see that nobody controls your life. It's you. Yes, things around you happen, but the effect of those things, the impact of those things are up to you, how you take them. So the mind, the principle of mind tells us how mind function. And Dhamma niyama is, in a way, how things are. For example, our height, our physical appearance. Some of those factors have some karmic consequences, but not always. We don't want to see everything happens because of our karma. And especially in Eastern culture, people attribute negative things, especially negative happening, to karma. And as you follow the Buddha's teaching, you might develop similar attitude. But I want to tell you the last principle, which is kamma niyama. Now we saw five: Uttu, Bija, Chitta, Dhamma, and Kamma. These are five principles. The principle of, or law of season, the law of seeds, the law of mind, the law of natural phenomena, and the law of karma. So if you think that is 100% of the laws that is happening around us, in daily basis, the karma has only 20% of effect on us. So what we do, yes, we are experiencing the result of karma every day, if you believe in karma, but not everything because of karma. And the karma is not set in a stone that you have to be a certain way, because karma is a dynamic force that continuously change based on how you lead your life. And some people try to, start doing things to make their future life better. As a monk, I used to get a lot of questions from people. But how do I make my next life better? Or how do I know? How do I kind of understand what will be my next life? And from the Buddha's teaching, my simple answer is your future, your next life will be reflective of how you lead your life today. And that doesn't need to be the same. You can change, because again, karma is not set in a stone, not written in stone. It is a force that is influencing our life, but we also influence karma in reverse. So whatever we do, spending every day, imagine we have thousands of thoughts every day. That's a very low number than we normally do. We have a lot of thoughts every day. In a one day time, there could be good thoughts, bad thoughts, angry thoughts, happy thoughts, sad thoughts, depressed, anxiety, you name it. We experience all kind of those thoughts, and those thoughts can produce some karma. However, we cannot stop. Some people get into meditation practice believing that if you can stop, mindfulness, or practice some kind of mantra or transcendental meditation to stop thinking, that is not possible if you understand the principle of chitta, the principle of mind. You cannot stop thoughts. What you can do is choose what kind of thoughts that you want to have and how you want to respond to them. Now, as a closing note, a remark, I want to encourage everybody that things that happen around us is not always under our control, and it shouldn't be either. Imagine you have to control everything that happens around you. You will be missing a lot. Imagine you have to think, or you have to do something besides watering, that all the plants that you have in your house, in your backyard or front yard, you have to go and intentionally let it grow. And I don't know how many plants will survive, right? Even our body itself, there's the process like breathing or blood pressure or temperature. We don't control. There is a autonomic nervous system that takes care of it. If we have to do everything consciously, we'll be long dead, most of us, those who are not mindful of them. So with this message, what I want to tell you is things that happen around us doesn't necessarily should be under our control. What we should control is what kind of thoughts that we allow in our mind. And every day, trying to reduce reacting to anything, and mindfully trying to respond, knowing the consequences, knowing the result of your response to them, and taking that momentary pause will help us not to have too many negative calories for mind, right, in a way, and have more positive thoughts. And this is actually the best tool if you are approaching toward the freedom that you're seeking, whether it is enlightenment, whether it is Buddhahood, whether any other type of transformation in yourself. So choosing the right thoughts and not reacting, responding to them should be our practice and our due respect to the Buddha, that his teaching. We listen to him and we try to apply them every day. We try to reduce unwholesome thoughts and ignorant thoughts, and try to have more wholesome thoughts, more reflective thoughts, thinking about impermanence, trying our best to get rid of this idea of self-concept and experience our daily activities from the reflective point of view. So I want to invite everyone, try to reduce, try your best to be mindful of what kind of thoughts that comes to your mind, and instead of reacting, respond to them mindfully. I'm sure that will lead to better life and also a peaceful life, and definitely happier life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sai. If you have any question, any comment, you can ask right now. Yes.
Hello. I guess one thing that you said that that I noticed was that you can't stop your thoughts, but you can be mindful of them, but also try to have positive thoughts instead. I was just curious as to see what you can, how maybe you can expand on that a little.
Yes.
Is just awareness of thought enough, more so than trying to have positive thoughts or whatever? Yeah.
But there are like two things I can suggest. Can you tell me your name, sir?
Tay. Oh, is it my time? Tay?
10?
Tay, yes.
Tay. Okay, Tay, thank you for the question. What I was not able to stop thought is, if you look at some Buddhist teaching, how mind works, even during sleep time, there is no way that mind stops producing thoughts. The way it survives is based on thought. So it continuously either having experience in the present moment or pulling out some of the past experience to stay processing. So that's how mind continues. Whether you are thinking or not, it will be always with a thought. That's how mind exists. There is no way mind exists without thought. That's there are three things about mind in Dhamma. They talk about ekupada, ekunirodha, ekalambana. In the Buddhist psychology, we call Abhidhamma. The mind always arises with a thought, and mind always stays with one of the thoughts, and mind disappears, or nirodha, the end, ceases with the thought. So it's always, something is always in our mind. And what I meant by since you cannot stop, that's where the Buddha's teaching about mindfulness comes handy. Not necessarily you're trying to push away what we feel or what we think, and try to have positive all the time. That is not the purpose of being Buddhist or practicing mindfulness. It's more like, I think you said that, be reflective, be aware of what kind of thoughts that you're having, whether it is pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. If you feel something, if you have if you notice something, as soon as you're mindful, what you're doing is you're not producing another karma for the future. As soon as you react with strong, unwholesome thought, like craving or anger, as soon as you react to them, those thoughts, what you're doing is you're producing another karma for the future. So there is no end of karma, because as we experience the result of karma in this moment, let's say you feel pain and you have strong negative reaction toward those pain, that reaction produces karma for the future. And there's no end. You will continue to produce more and more. And the Buddha's advice, in a very simpler term, is as soon as you feel a strong sensation, instead of saying, I am in pain, this is awful, getting those thoughts, you observe the pain. You observe the nature of the pain. You observe the nature of that thought content. This is negative thought. This is a sensation of pain. This is a painful sensation that I'm experiencing. And what you're doing is you stop producing more karma for the future. And not necessarily you're trying to bring, I don't want to look at pain, I want to feel good. Now you are fighting with what is happening in the moment. That may not work. And the second part, I think, to have more positive, I don't think it's more positive, I think it's more compassionate thoughts, which we do in loving kindness meditation. We try to sit down and look at ourselves with that, not wishing us for all kind of fortune, but mindful, loving kindness, compassionate look at the person, more realistic look at the person. And when you do that, you allow mind to be lighter. That's the purpose. So if you look into Buddhist process of developing strong mindfulness, when your mind is heavy, we call weighty mind, that cannot establish good mindfulness. It will not establish, it will be very hard. In those situations, with the advice that try to start with loving kindness. You start with loving kindness, what you do is you, I think that in Pali we call kammaniya, I think it's more like a malleable. You make your mind little malleable. For example, if you're trying to make something out of a piece of clay, if it is too hard, you can't mold it, it will crack. So the mind that is agitated, the mind with too many thoughts and ideas is just like that hard clay. You cannot change the shape. That's where loving kindness come handy. Again, not so much positive, happy, joy, smiling, laughing kind of thoughts, but more compassionate, more neutral in a way. That will make your mind a little malleable, and you prepare yourself for next step, which is practicing loving kindness. I don't know if I answer your question, Trey.
Thank you.
Any question?
Hi, thank you. So I appreciate how you just answered Tay's question, because I had the same thoughts. I guess what I want to ask is, based on what you just said, it got me thinking about, and I don't know if you're familiar with this concept of having a shadow in the subconscious mind and how the shadow can arise. And I'm wondering if, as the shadow arises, which may come from karma and accumulations from past lives, and also just experiences from the past that we've stored in our minds and bodies, as the shadow arises, what is the best way to work with this energy?
Can you tell me your name?
My name is Alana.
Right. Thank you for the question, Alana. I might need to ask you one follow-up question. When you say shadow, what are you referring to? Are you referring to actual shadow, or like something? Can you tell me a little more? What do you mean by shadow?
like the shadow of the mind, you know, when unwholesome thoughts arise, when negative thinking patterns of the mind arise, that when those thoughts arise and maybe you have a pause, in that moment, you may even judge those thoughts and be like, oh, I don't like this thought. This is maybe a selfish thought or a self-seeking thought, an egoic thought. Maybe this is a jealous thought, and you notice it, and it can arise or come from not necessarily even the situation that you're in. Sometimes I may be even sitting on my couch and these thoughts arise that have nothing to do with what I'm experiencing at present. And they could come from past life accumulations. I've seen some of my own past lives, and I've seen the experiences I've had in them and how they connect to certain thoughts that I might have today. So my question is, as those things arise, how do you best work with them?
Okay. Elena, right? Your name?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Elena. That's a really good question. And people name different ways, right? Those experience, the thoughts. In Buddhist term, we call them dormant thoughts. You know, those are, we know ourselves to some extent. That is very readily available awareness about your conscious process, you know, what kind of thoughts that you're having, all that. And there are times, like you said, and it could be from anywhere. It could be from your early childhood experience. It could be from, you know, recent or very long past experience. And of course, it could be from your past life as well. And the one thing I can propose to your question, the solution to that question is that to be a human, you know, what you are today as a human being, having this great wisdom to seek better paths, to better yourself and better our future lives, to come to that point, none of those past karma should be there. What I'm trying to tell you is, to become a human, we should have done a lot of great merit. We should have lived most of the severe karmic results in the past life. So to become human, we have already sort of passed them. And this is a fresh start. That's why if you look at the Buddhist literature, Buddha never valued anything else than human life. It is extremely valued because a human can become a Buddha. So human can become an enlightened person, because to be a human, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of merit, a lot of practices. And once you are there, yes, it could be like the shadow, the term you use, it could come to you. And like you said, when you have those thoughts, they may affect you out of blue and you're not even thinking about it. It just comes to your mind. But what you also said was a solution part there, right? You said you immediately recognize this is a jealous thought, this is an angry thought, this is a uncomfortable or something that I don't even want to think about. Now, what happened is, like you call shadow, to me, it's like a dormant thought. Sometime it comes out of blue. We have that sort of untamed tendencies to have crazy ideas, right? We call this like automatic thinking. And that awareness, as soon as you catch yourself in those moments, is wonderful. And to go further from the very nice teaching from the Buddha, and sometimes those thoughts don't go away. It will re-emerge and will try to, you know, disrupt your work or whatever you're doing. Now, in those situations, Buddha gave very nice tips. This is in Vitakasantana Sutta, one of very practical advice from the Buddha. That is, Buddha asks to, you know, if you have those kind of thoughts, if you can pause and have the counter thoughts. Let's say you have selfish thought and you realize the counter thought would be more generous thinking. You know, you try to engage in generous thinking. So that's one way to do, you know, having counter thoughts. If that didn't work, you try to look at the root of the thought. where does this come from? And even we think it's from the past life, there must be something associated with that thought in this life. Something is happening, maybe or maybe you might need to contemplate a little bit. So the second approach is look at the origin of the thought. Where did this start? And looking at the origin helps you, I came too far. There was one simple incident and I took this thought too far. That helps to manage, not get rid of, manage those kind of unwholesome thoughts. If that didn't work, so we tried counter thoughts, we tried the origin, and we tried to go backward. So that's a reverse approach. For example, if somebody's running, you try to see where did you start, and you try to slow down, having many thoughts versus, okay, what was this thought before this one? So reverse approach works as well. And the last one, which is really interesting approach that Buddha gave, is let's say you have this crazy, selfish, or even aversive thoughts. You would hurt somebody really bad, and it doesn't go away. It could be from the past life. It could be from this life. In those situations, you tried many approaches, nothing worked, and Buddha advised you. I don't know how to explain in English. I'll try. You press your jaw against your jaw so tight. Don't bite your tongue. Just your jaw, your upper teeth against the lower teeth. Make crunch. You crunch your teeth, almost like you're making fists in your mouth. Crunch your teeth, and you determine so strong. I will suppress this thought, and that is physical effort to suppress some mental thoughts. And I will give you reference if you want to know more on this sutta. And this was Buddha's advice. He advised to use every possible tools to suppress, to not react on those thoughts. Because again, I think I mentioned in my brief talk, whatever you do now defines your future. Not so much what you have done in the past. What you are today is, of course, the outcome of your past and this life as well. But your future, your tomorrow, your this life, the rest of the life, and the future life, if you believe in rebirth, they are the consequence of how you lead your life. This will be the representative of those lives. So having that forward thinking will help not to influence by those thoughts, and trying some of these approach. I hope that help you to manage some of those shadow trying to affect you in your daily basis.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Sai. It's a wonderful talk. I think we have to stop right now. We are going to chant the page 4 and page 10. Before that, I just want to mention a few things. Next Sunday, Reverend Kusala is going to give a Dhamma talk. And the 21st of the August, we are planning to do the Ulambana service, which is the offering merit for the departure relatives. We have Sangadana and lunch for everybody. Please come and join. 21st August. You can come around 10:30 to temple. You can finish everything 1 o'clock. You can eat a lot of food. You can participate for the service.
Thank you, Bante.
All right, I'll call you later, Sai.
Thank you, Bante. Thank you, everyone, for wonderful questions.
All right, thank you. Take care. Bye. So we'll chant the page 4 and page 8. Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dhamma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shadow of grief and the sick find health relief. Nguyện di thủ công đức phổ cả dự chúng sanh giai cộng tất đời đạo. Nguyện di thủ công đức phổ cả nhân thiên ngã đẳng dự chúng sanh giai cộng tất Phật đạo. Nguyện di thủ công đức phổ cập ơn nhân thiên ngã đẳng dự chúng sanh giai cộng tất Phật đạo. Thank you again for everybody. You all can participate Sunday service right now. Temple is open for the 10:30 to 12:30. So if anybody want to come to temple, they can come and participate for the Sunday service. Thanks again for everybody. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.